Here is one we shall call Invergare. Invergare is more than 50 miles from the nearest railway station. The road to it lies through mountainous countryside, slashed by both sea and inland lochs. The Crofters are a hardy and independent people. They earn their living partly from the land and partly from the sea, supporting a cow or two, some hens, and a few sheep. This is a Crofter's son, Kenny Mackenzie, who is nearly 15 years of age. Like all Crofter children, Kenny has many jobs to do in and around the house before leaving for school. Although the Crofters have running water for... Kenny's mother has a long and busy day before her. While she is milking the cows, the Croft has 2 of them, her husband prepares for his day's work too. This is Morag, Kenny's sister, and Murdo, his brother. Both help to run the Croft when they're at home. Kenny has to leave early for school, which is over 14 miles away. The first part of the journey is covered by a shooting brake, which acts as the local taxi. As Kenny is the only pupil in the district who goes to the junior secondary school, he has the shooting brake to himself. To city pupils, 14 miles away may seem a long way to go to school, but many Highland children have to travel even further than Kenny. In a little village, 7 miles from the Croft, Kenny leaves the brake and joins the other children waiting for the school bus, which will take them 7 miles further on to school. The senior secondary school is 80 miles away, and most pupils from the Crofts taking a senior secondary course must stay in the town when attending school. The cost of these services is provided by the local education committee. The bus passes through majestic country, but for these children the scenery is taken for granted. They know every feature and also the quickly changing moods of the weather, the low clouds that obscure the hills, the glorious bursts of sunshine, and the sudden squalls of rain from the Atlantic. The school lies close to the loch side, and across the waters are the hills of Skye. In these surroundings, the early arrivals enjoy a game of hopscotch, popularly known as peavers. To keep abreast of modern developments, a new wing has been added to the school. This includes a technical department where the sons of crofters may learn skills that will help them in the years to come. There's also a dining room where the pupils can obtain a midday meal at a very moderate cost. There are about 50 pupils in this junior secondary school, which, like all similar schools throughout Scotland, is a place where boys and girls can study arts and crafts and learn to use their hands. For the boys, there are classes in woodwork and metalwork, and for the girls, a course in domestic science. Everything possible is done to encourage the pupils to develop their practical skills. For example, Kenny learns much about the working of a trawler from the school model. During the interval, the boys play shinty, which is in some ways like hockey. It is a traditional game in the Scottish Highlands. Many of the children at Kenny School speak Gaelic as well as English. The girls enjoy singing in the Gaelic choir. Back at the Croft, Kenny's mother brings in the peats. Peat, cut from the bogland and stacked beside the cotch after drying, provides the crofter with most of his fuel. Coal is used sparingly because of the heavy cost of transport. Although the Croft has a modern cooker, good old scones are still baked on a slow peat fire. The photograph on the mantelpiece is of Etta, a daughter who is working as a waitress at a local hotel. Seasonal work is of great importance to members of a crofter's family. The Highland hotels, which attract large numbers of fishermen and tourists, provide much needed employment in an area where other jobs are scarce. Labour is also scarce on the crofts, and one crofter usually helps another, for example by lending a horse to make a pair or exchanging implements. In this case, Kenny's father lends a hand in the cutting of neighbours' rushes. Twice a year, all the sheep must, by law, be dipped in a disinfectant solution. First, the sheep have to be gathered from the hills and moors with the help of the collies, and then driven to the fank for dipping. This is necessary to protect them from ticks and other insects and to make their wool waterproof against winter rain. Prevention of disease by dipping has saved many animals. Dipping is a big job in which all the crofters in the area work together. It is both arduous and messy, and waterproofs must be worn to protect the clothing. The local police attend to ensure that the sheep are properly immersed. New opportunities for employment are helping to keep young men on the crofts. Here is a little factory equipped to assemble small tractors to meet the needs of crofters and smallholders. It provides work for about a dozen men. By arrangement with their employer, they're able to work on their crofts when necessary. Kenny's brother, Murdo, is one of those who benefit from this scheme. Officials watch a demonstration by one of the tractors, which is driven by a 5-horsepower engine. Forestry and hydroelectrification are also providing more jobs for crofters and smallholders. Reforestation is compensating for the heavy felling of timber during the last war and has brought a new lease of life to many areas. Planting of young trees goes on steadily on the banks of Loch Marie, above Invergare. It provides work for the present and timber for the future. Fire is the forester's great enemy in dry weather, but at various points the Forestry Commission has provided brooms for beating out the flames and also tanks of water. When felling of timber takes place, mobile sawmills are used to produce fence posts and pit props. This work on the site reduces transport and handling costs. By harnessing water power, the Kerry Falls station of the North of Scotland Hydroelectric Board has provided electric light and power for villagers and crofters alike, and now supplies approximately 1,500 consumers. Electricity is much cleaner than the old oil lamp and allows the crofter's wife to use the same modern equipment as is available in the cities. Invergare possesses few shops, but the Hydro Board's mobile showroom brings all the latest appliances, such as cookers, refrigerators and washing machines, to the village for inspection and demonstration. Electricity is helping to drive drudgery from the croft. In his spare time, Kenny learns as much as he can of the ways of fishermen. Trawling, salmon netting, lobster potting, he wants to know something of them all. At the pier, he's a keen observer as a catch of herring is landed. West Coast herring fishing is carried out mainly by drifters from East Coast ports and Stornoway, and occasionally by smaller local boats. Herring are not sold by weight, but by the cran. Herring are sent to ports on the East Coast for selling or for kippering. Poorer quality fish are used for making fish meal for feeding cattle. Sometimes Kenny has a chance to go out in a salmon coble on its daily tour of the nets. The coble is driven by a diesel engine, and its flat bottom allows it to go close inshore, where the nets are set. Sometimes the catches are good, and over 100 salmon may be netted. At other times, as in this instance, the haul is no more than one single salmon. The fish are packed in ice and dispatched to Aberdeen for sale. On another occasion, Kenny joins Jock Mackenzie on a trip to collect the lobster pots. Lobsters and crabs crawl on the bottom of the sea, and the pots, or traps, are left there baited with fish to tempt them to enter. Once in the pot, there's no escape for the lobster. Lobsters must arrive alive at the market, otherwise they are worthless. In some districts, lobsters are kept in specially constructed pools, so that they may be sold when prices are good. Ashore again, Kenny learns how the lobster pots work and is shown how to handle the creatures. Salmon, lobster and crab are all delicacies and fetch good prices in the market in the south. As a crofter's son, Kenny must learn as much about the land as about the sea. On a friend's croft, he has a chance to see one of the little tractors at work. He is not long in mastering the controls, thanks to his technical training at school. Most crofter boys of Kenny's age spend their spare time in much the same way, For them, it's all fun and games, but at the same time, whether they know it or not, they're picking up useful knowledge. One evening in the crofter's life is very much like another. There are household tasks to be done, but there's also time for relaxation. By city standards, it may seem a dull life, but it has its own compensations. In recent years, improvements in roads and transport have lessened the sense of isolation. Reforestation, the establishment of small factories, and electrification schemes have all provided additional part-time employment. This is most important because of the intermittent nature of the crofter's work on his own holding. The increasing use of tractors and other modern equipment has proved a boon to the crofter, just as the housewife's work has been lightened by the spread of electricity throughout the Highlands.
Kenny, come away for your supper.
Kenny's days are full, but he seldom lets an evening pass without practicing on his chanter. Now that piping practice is over, it is time for bed. It's a full life, being a Crofter boy.